All right, what's going on, man? Welcome back to the basement. I'm Ron, and today we have a special guest. We have the man of the hour, Pete Overzet. How's it going? How are we doing on this fine Friday night?
I'm doing good, man. Yeah, excited to chop it up with you. You've hopped on a few streams with us over on Ship Chasing earlier this offseason. We did a Dynasty mock draft. And then later tonight, we're going to hop, or immediately after this, we're going to hop over on my channel, do a Best Ball After Dark. So a nice little, Friday night of drafting. I have an excuse. Like, I have a 7-month-old, so I don't go out anymore. I don't know what your excuse is, though, for drafting on a Friday night.
Yeah, man. I wish I could say I had something going on, but you know, I had you by I DM'd you asking you if you want to hop on, and you're like, you know what, hop on After Dark, and I've been wanting to do After Dark. Admittedly, probably would have preferred a Thursday, but I have no problem getting the Pete Overzet buffet here of After Dark. I'm just collecting all of the different shows that you have with After Dark and Splash Play and Ship Chasing.
Wait, didn't you send me a DM and you're like, hey, I'm gonna have this live streaming schedule, and was it one of the dates Fridays that you were gonna be regularly streaming? I already caught
but
you
like
in a lie.
6 p.m. That's what it was. It was 6 p.m. And then you pushed it out, and I was like, fine, I'll kill two birds with one stone. We'll have Pete on. We'll do the After Dark. We'll do the whole shebang. Look, man, the social life, it gets put to the side here when we're really grinding in these streets. Now, I will say, you're putting up serious volume right now on stream. Almost at what, like 100 BBMs?
Yeah, I'll hit. I think I'm through 95 right now, so yeah, I'll hit 100 early next week.
I gotta say, I'm slacking so hard, man. Like I've maxed it last year. I have full plans to max it, but every time that it's time to max it or drop
34?
a BBM, yes, man.
Come on, Ron. What are you doing over here?
They keep throwing stuff. It's like, oh my goodness, the golden. Okay, I gotta send it. It's like, oh, the Pomeranian with no rake. I gotta max it. Like I keep getting sidetracked, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna look. I'm gonna. It might take some like 15, multi tabling Sundays that I might just have to sort of put in my schedule. But you can just charge it to the game.
That's what people keep always asking me, like, oh, what if you get behind, or what if it's filling too fast? It's like, guys, come on. You don't think we're going to fire up a stream and rip off 6 of these at once? I'll throw 2 in one in the same window. And we'll multi-table at the same time. Like, come on, we're going to get it done. Don't you worry.
That's what I'm saying. Like, look. I think I had a stream last year where I went, I don't know how long I went for, maybe like 6 hours or something. We just ripped a bunch of streams. Like, look, it's just better content for the people. If I have to rip 20 in one day at like a late August, fine. Now we might as well cut to the chase here, get into a draft, because we do technically have a hard out at 9. So we'll hop into this one right here.
Yeah, I mean, we'll figure it out. I can let the Best Ball After Dark crew know. People on my channel, they've become so entitled with these start times. Like, if I'm 2 seconds late, they freak out. So maybe I need to establish some better boundaries with them.
No, I'm maybe the worst when it comes to that, to be real. Like that's why I've tried to be harder about getting these like streams that are scheduled. Like like today I didn't schedule our stream until like probably like noon.
I went to look for it because I was going to put it in my newsletter that I put out, because I normally do my upcoming shows. I was like, oh, this slacker over here hasn't even put it up yet.
Yeah, that's me. Until like maybe 3 weeks ago, my stream schedule would just be like, oh, I got done with work early on a Thursday, I'll just fire up a stream in like 30 minutes. And then you kind of realize like people have lives, and they would like to know in advance when we're hopping on. So that's a change I've been trying to make here. And then on top of that, like it'll be spontaneous, and then I'll schedule it for like, okay, I'll go live in like an hour, and then that comes around and I'm like, get another shower, and it's like, oh, you got to push it out another 20 minutes, and then everybody in the comments are roasting me. So yeah, that's kind of the experience.
Enjoy that part of your life where you have that flexibility, where you can just be like, my whole life has to be scheduled. Like, it has to be like, my wife needs to know, okay, in like 3 days advance, like, hey, we're going to do dinner now, and I'm going to have this show, and then I'm going to be covering for the kid. Like, my life has to be hyper scheduled. So you should enjoy the fact that you can just fire up streams on a whim.
Yeah, it is a pretty beautiful thing. I'm not going to lie here. I know you have everything mapped out. You have the stream schedule all on your website and everything. And I'm just out here kind of just winging it, man. Kind of just saying, you know what, like this is when we're going to stream, but we're getting better about it this summer. Now we do have the 9 spot. which is like not great. I feel like that's maybe
Yeah.
the spot you've been getting the. I feel like I saw you're like through 75. Maybe you've been. I feel like you've been in the late parts, but I can't remember if
Yeah.
I'm recalling that correctly.
That the 9-10 has been my most. I just the past few days I got a couple 103s and a 101, so that felt good. I have like not been in like the 1-6, 1-7 like much at all, which is also why I don't have much Travis Kelsey, which I'm not even mad about because he's probably the guy in the first round I'd want to be most underweight on. But yeah, it is weird how that works.
Now, where are we going with this pick?
So if it's like a crazy piss boy room, like I do just take AJ Brown and just move on. If you think this is like a normal room, I think Bijan's the best pick, but I'm good with either Brown or Bijan.
No, I'm gonna test our luck, man. I think I mean I didn't give the viewers a huge window to join with us, so I think that you're gonna be able to kind of push the limits of this room a little bit. This is not gonna be a piss boy room. I don't think so. As we get, we're gonna get 6 straight wide receivers off the board here, but I think this is gonna be a nice environment for you to get in.
Yeah, I'm looking at the usernames. I don't recognize any of my usual crew. They're slacking. Normally they're coming around bum hunting all of my drafts, so it's nice not to have to deal with them. But yeah, I do think. I mean, yeah, where are you at on Bijan? Because I'm actually kind of wanting to boost up my Bijan exposure right now.
You know what's crazy? Maybe I should have been like, we'll take AJ Brown there. Bijan Robinson's probably my most drafted player in the first round. Well, where are we going here? I kind of hate everything on the board.
I do a lot of drafts with Sean Siegel. He loves Jalen Waddle. He's getting me hyped on him. I also am totally down for a Bijan JT start and then just figuring it out. But I'm good with either of those two there.
Let's go. No, I have a lot of Bijan JT. Let's go Bijan Waddle.
Yeah.
But in terms of the Bijan thing, I was talking with Crane. I kind of had the gang of Pete Overzet crew on this week. I had Crane on Thursday, and I was kind of talking through Bijan. And when we talk about, of course, Crane's like legendary running back article, to me, it still holds up. I think it's one of the best articles to come out in like the last few years or whatever. And we haven't had one of those true. I know Pat will tell you like Eckler, JT, like they kind of count, but if you look at like the true 20% win rate guys that he was talking about, you're talking 22.5 plus points per game is kind of the threshold when you look at all those running backs, and we haven't had one since 2020. And it's kind of a byproduct of how weak the running back landscape has been. So I kind of like the idea of just betting against the landscape with the fresh legs that's coming in here with Bijan. And that we've seen, Saquon had like 24. Saquon had a better point per game season in his rookie year than, the last 2 RB1 overall seasons by like 3 points per game. Zeke would have been flirting with like RB1 overall last year as a rookie. So I like betting on him. He catches passes. It's a good offense, or good rushing efficiency offense, I should say. So I've been taking a lot of them.
Yeah, I basically, there's a lot of warts on basically everyone outside of the top 5 picks, I would say. I can poke holes in them. After those top 5, though, Bijan is probably like the least amount of concern I have for a player on the board. Like everything lines up perfect. I mean, we were all tilting our faces off last year because this Falcons team was so competent at running the ball. I mean, they were getting huge numbers out of whoever they put back there. Was it Caleb Huntley at one point was having just insane efficiency. And now you get one of the best running back prospects we've ever seen, a coach who loves to run the ball, who can scheme up a good run game. And they do have enough weapons that defenses can't just load the box and shut this down. Bijan's going to catch passes. As much as Tyler Allgeier's good, he doesn't profile as a big pass catching back. I don't know where Bijan's getting squeezed. Like the path to having a very similar Zeke or Barkley rookie year is just so clear to me. And I'm honestly surprised with how much underdog drafters love taking rookies. I mean, look where we're taking JSN right now. Like the fact that Bijan isn't a locked and loaded top 5 pick is kind of weird to me, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. To me, I'd be comfortable taking him as soon as, the top 5 of, I'll still have McCaffrey over him, and then the top 5 of like Jefferson, Chase, Tyreek, Kupp. Like if his ADP was 6, I would have no problem at all taking him there. And maybe I should mix that in a little bit more just to get maybe like a little bit more unique. But you can always just, take a Bijan and then like reach on, I guess, like Pollard here and kind of get the same vibe, I guess.
Mm-hmm. What have you been doing in general, like are your structures? You said you've been doing a lot of Bijan JT. Do you do a lot of like double anchor builds?
Yeah, I've been easing off it a little bit. Jacob's kind of been talking me down in terms of, and I think Pat's kind of touched on this a little bit, that people are kind of expecting wide receivers maybe get cheaper over time, or then you also have the like to me this Waddle pick here, like to me, I think JT Pollard are clearly better picks than them in half PPR. But
Yes.
like we're gonna be sitting on the clock here at 33, and we're gonna be debating Brees Hall here. So
Yep.
it's like it's kind of, you have to sort of go through the 1v1s and sort of limit yourself, because then you can really start to squeeze yourself out. You go 3 running backs in a row, and it's like, I struggled. I lose sleep at night when I do things like that. But yeah, so it's just been kind of a balancing act, and you kind of have, like the Saquons are gonna, or like Jacobs is already sort of slipping a little bit. So it's kind of it's you can't just pick the best player in a vacuum every time, even though I think early on that's what I have been doing.
Yeah. This is an interesting spot here. I mean, I definitely think if Ramondre doesn't go, he's part of this last tier. I know there is a lot of risk with Fournette, with Dalvin Cook, but I still think if we're just betting purely on talent, and what you can do here, I do really like Ramondre, because then I think you can make cases for about like 7 or 8 of these
Is he
guys.
gonna auto into Ramondre after going 2 running
Jeez,
backs? Come on,
brutal.
man, that's insane. All right, I
Yeah.
mean, any of these wide receivers stick out to you? Because I have one in mind.
The guy I take in this spot the most is Debo.
Me too. So we'll take
Okay.
Debo here. I've been taking tons of Debo. To me, I don't see. I really, in terms of Debo's. All right, so let's not get too crazy here. But in terms of like Debo's like outlook, like once Olave's off the board, I see Devonta T, Metcalf, Debo, like Ridley, all in the same tier to me. Like I don't understand Debo going so late, and then also like I can't get around to the 19th pick Devonta. It kind of factors into the Waddle stuff of like, you kind of just have to take your medicine and take the wide receiver early.
Mhm.
But Debo's a bet I want to make, and I assume you're on him for a similar reason, but it's just last year the volume was there, he just wasn't efficient, and we've already seen him have one of the most efficient seasons of all time. Like why not just bet on an efficiency bounce back from a wide receiver who you can pencil in for 20% target share, also get carries, can score touchdowns from anywhere, like very
Yeah.
talented. You have a lean
So
here?
So the one thing I would say is, because we have outs to late quarterbacks with what we've started with, if you do really like, I like Gibbs and ETN. Normally in my rooms, I get them cheaper, but like in this room, I do think we could take that running back detour. Otherwise, I do like Watson in London. I don't know how I feel about London with Bijan necessarily, but I would be Gibbs or Watson, depending on which direction you want to take this.
Let's go Watson. I have kind of Watson as like a last wide receiver in that tier. Like once Watson and
Mm.
Judy are gone, I'm cool to take Gibbs and ETN, and I don't mind taking Gibbs. I've been having Jakob on these streams, and he keeps getting in my ear that even in half PPR, you need to be overweight on Gibbs. And I get it, but it doesn't feel great unless if I maybe start like 3 straight wide receivers. Like it has to be, or if I have like Pollard already, or Lamb already, like it has to be, or like once Watson's gone, I would have taken him at 41 though. So I mean, like we are kind of splitting hairs, but
Yeah, I think I like Watson too, but the other thing I do like about Watson, and I guess people who don't know me will quickly get used to this, but I have way more like structural takes than I do individual player takes, and like my kind of macro take on this wide receiver tier, I do have Debo kind of in his own mini, him and Keenan Allen, and then after that, I truly think from Calvin Ridley like down to Traylon Burks, they're all basically like the same cost adjusted like bet, and so then the thing I'm starting to think about here is, all right, if we're not going to do an elite QB, all of these picks we've taken are setting ourselves up for later stacks. Tua, Brock Purdy, Jordan Love. I don't even mind a Ritter Bijan pairing. So to me, I'm saying, all right, that's going to probably free us up to not be taking a quarterback in rounds 5 through 8. I generally like to have at least 5 wide receivers through 7, because generally by about pick 84, it really dries up. So then I know we already have 3 wide receivers here. So we're probably going to be able to get a luxury running back pick in one of these rounds. And then what I was weighing with the Gibbs thing is, are we going to like the luxury running back pick there more than we will at 5-6? Because sometimes Kenneth Walker falls in my rooms to the end there. I really like him. Now Dobbins has concerns. I think Dobbins is going to start to fall based on the news today that he's opening up on PUP and not fully recovered. So I do wonder if some of those other bets start to get a little shakier there. That's the only thing that would have pushed me to Gibbs or ETN in the 4th versus what we're going to maybe end up with here otherwise. And not saying we have to take a running back, but I'm just saying that's kind of structurally where I'm thinking.
yeah, I love all that. Like I have to be honest. I know you're one of the guys who does it in terms of like the structural stuff. Like I'm not even thinking about that. Like in terms of like the late quarterbacks and everything, I was just like, I like Watson. But I do understand in terms of setting up the stacks late and kind of like you're always thinking so far ahead with these picks that
Well,
it's cool. It's cool the macro stuff because I just like Watson the player, and I'll definitely it's something that's on my mind, but I think I have to think about it a little bit more, like the repercussions of going two running backs up top and thinking through are you cutting yourself off from like falling RB values and stacks later on.
and I think it's good to think like it's not bad to have that tape. Be like, I like Christian Watson, but then you ask yourself, what are the ways I win if Christian Watson is a smash? Well, Jordan Love's probably having a good season. Maybe that game against the Vikings in week 17 is going off, and maybe Jordan Addison starts to look pretty good to us in the early 6th round. I think just following that thought experiment really helps you to build rosters that have that kind of tournament upside here. This is the spot I figured we'd end up in. You could build out a bet on the Packers with Aaron Jones if we wanted to do that. Otherwise, I fucking love JSN, and I've been clicking him as much as I can.
All right, let's do it. I haven't been taking. I've been mixing him in a lot more recently. I've honestly been doing when it comes to me and a lot of these slow drafts I'm in is like JSN and then also getting Lockett and then getting Geno later and maybe like a Jalen Warren bring back, and things get a little hot and heavy when you do something like that. But yeah, I don't mind JSN. I was kind of mad at his price early on because I guess here's the thing with me with JSN is I think he's very good. The issue that it comes down to me is like, and this is kind of more of a dynasty take, but it's like, I guess let me ask you first, are you in on JSN for, I assume it's a combination of a bunch of stuff, but it's kind of like the offense is going to be good. He's a good prospect.
To
like
me,
how are you working through
that? It does all just funnel down from him. I think he's, the best prospect we've had since Jamar Chase. I think when you start to compare what he did at his age with Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, it puts him in insane company. And, we've seen these teammate pairings, even Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and, Garrett Wilson and Olave. I am very, very bullish on him as a raw talent. And I think he is going to quickly take over as the best option in Seattle. I have no problem with the double stack with Lockett. I take Lockett a ton as well. I think that's a fun one. The only other thing would be is if structurally you want to take your detour for Kyle Pitts, who I think is also fun. But the way I've been kind of playing Pitts, who I like, is he's now falling to like the other side of the board on the 6-7 turn. So I normally get my Kyle Pitts exposure from the first half of the draft slots.
And then you can also, that's, where Fields is going too. So you can kind of get a little bring back in that week 16 game or whatever.
George Pickens goes early in this one.
That is, geez, I can't get there. I'll say with the JSN thing, this is what's tough for me with JSN is this is kind of the thought I'm wrestling with, because I agree that JSN's a very good prospect, but I'm not sure he's like from a dynasty perspective, like I'm not sure he's marginally much better than like Drake London and Garrett Wilson, just considering that like they were very solid prospects too. They were also drafted like, and I can't tell if this is maybe the NFL just overcorrected last year because you saw like the Devontae Adams deal and the Tyreek Hill deal, but we're talking like, Jameson Williams was 12th overall, Olave was 11th, and now we get to this year, and maybe this is unfair, but it's like we didn't have a single wide receiver go in the top 20. I think the thing that you can say about JSN is maybe because he's a slot guy, NFL front offices maybe sort of pushed him down a little bit, but the NFL didn't see him as like a true difference maker the same way like kind of we do in a way.
And I think that was mostly because of the injury. I do really think that if he had played that full year and wasn't kind of out of sight, out of mind, I do think he would have probably viewed like that. I do think that is what is creating like a relative discount, but I have to say relative because I agree with you. Like it is frustrating to have to take JSN where we did when we got Garrett Wilson in the 12th and 13th round last year. But to me, that is just like, it's also frustrating that we have to take, Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round. And last year we got to take him in the 6th, 7th round. Like the market trends toward efficiency. People are realizing that these rookie wide receivers of his pedigree smash at a pretty absurd rate, and they smash when it matters the most down the stretch. And like the simple thought exercise I always do is if you knew what Amon-Ra St. Brown did his rookie year, and Amon-Ra was essentially free, the prices are very different. He didn't do anything the first 13 weeks of the season, and then he scorched the earth weeks 14 through 17, won Chess Liam $1 million in Best Ball Mania 2. Where would you have taken Amon-Ra St. Brown just knowing you were only getting 4 weeks of elite production, but it was when it matters the most? Like, what would be an efficient ADP for that?
Probably around where we took JSN, I think. Probably what, like 5th round, 4th round?
I'd take it
am I being
higher.
too conservative?
Yeah, I would take, like, if you told me Amon-Ra St. Brown did what he did those last week, I would take him. Again, you wouldn't have to, right? Because the market, but I'm just saying efficient. Like, that's a 2nd round value.
You're right.
And so, yes, it's expensive. But I was on the ship chasing draft stream and I was like, yes, we're going to get 8th, 9th round JSN because everyone's going to be spooked about Metcalf. Everyone on Twitter is spooked about Metcalf. Everyone's spooked about Lockett. Everyone likes Lockett. But when people have the money on the line in these drafts, they say fucking JSN can scorch the earth down the stretch. And I'm clicking here him in the 5th and the 6th.
This is the only thing I'll push back on with JSN. Is I sort of feel like rookies were already pretty expensive. Like I feel like London was maybe like a 6th round pick last year, or am I?
Yeah.
I feel like him and Burks were like right in this area too. And then you had Garrett. Like that's kind of how I feel about Quentin Johnston this year, where you have, I mean, Addison slipping a little bit because of the, I don't know, 140 mile per hour thing or whatever. But you have like JSN and Addison here, and then someone that I kind of had as like a similarly graded prospect going like, you know, a round and a half later. It's not quite the discount we got on Garrett Wilson. But it feels similar. But I don't think that means that JSN can't pay off in the 5th, if that makes sense.
The other way to like reframe your thinking on this, and this helped me too, is with these rookies, I think there's far more risk with DK Metcalf and Mike Williams than there is with Quentin Johnston and JSN. Because if you think about the downside risk, if Quentin Johnston is a thing, if JSN is a thing, like those are going to be very bad picks. I'm telling you right now, DK Metcalf and Mike Williams. You can say like, oh, these guys bust, rookies bust. That's fine. Yes, there are paths to them hitting. But at those prices, you have way more room for error on JSN and Quentin Johnston than you do on Mike Williams and DK Metcalf. And so these rookies, their presence makes me more scared about their teammates going much earlier than it even does about them flopping.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like it gets pretty dicey for Metcalf at like the 301 or wherever he's going. Damn. So we got QJ who just went. I like one player on the board. I'm curious where your head's at.
So I love Burks, but like to me, this is a really fun spot to take the detour for DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
Are you not a Swift guy?
In my past life I was, but I'm down for Swift.
I'm basically what I've turned into is like, if it comes to me like in not an absurd like reach situation, I'm basically trying to get a Swift or Penny share in every draft.
I like that idea just because of how dominant they were last year as a rushing attack. And, you know, one of them probably hits.
There's a few backfields like that I feel that way. I love both Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. I love both Samaje Perine and Javonte Williams. And the fact that the most expensive one of those is like Kenneth Walker going at the 5-6 turn. I mean, I don't play those backs together, but I don't even think it would be bad to do that just with how cheap they are collectively and like the offenses and the talent you're getting access to with those backfields.
Wow. To be completely transparent with you, Waller was the guy I had in my mind, but I'm cool with whatever you want to do here.
Yeah, this is like, you'll have to tell me how much you think Burks is going to continue to fall. Waller, though, I think makes a ton of sense because he gives another out to a quarterback with the stack there. We don't have any other correlation stuff tied up with either Walker or Waller. So I'm completely fine structurally with Waller. In my mind, I'm like, holy cow, we're starting to get Treylon Burks at this price. I don't personally think his ADP should have budged too much. I think the Hopkins thing is a net positive for him simply because it means we're going to get a lot of Tannehill. So I'm like excited about Burks. So that value would have been a little hard for me to pass up on, but structurally, I think Waller is a really good pick there.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I don't mind Burks. It's actually funny. Like I absolutely love Burks coming out last year and I still do like him. But I agree. I mean, like he definitely fell like 10 picks past like his ADP in quotes, but we don't know where it's going to end up. Right. I think this is probably the range it ends up though. I think that he probably ends up, you know, between like Elijah Moore, Rashad Bateman area. And the thing with Treylon Burks is I think Hopkins comes in definitely hurts his like median outcome, but I think the ceiling is still there. Like my comparison for what his like ceiling outlook could be this year is like Devonta Smith last year next to AJ Brown, where he's like very efficient. Yeah. He's giving you like, maybe not fringe top 12 like Devonta Smith was, but like top 24 wide receiver season that can kind of catch heat down the stretch.
And the thing is, like, I know we all want the, guy who approaches a 30% target share, but those are rare. Those are unicorns. It's in like the same way we all want a bell cow back that's getting 20 plus touches, pass catching, goal line. It's like, yeah, but that doesn't exist that much. What I want is access to really talented players in competent offenses. And there was legit systemic risk with the Titans offense with whoever it was, Will Levis, Malik Willis. Like, it could have just been very, very bad. And I don't care how much of a grown-ass man Treylon Burks is. It could have gotten bad there. Now that risk, a lot of it is removed. Sure, they could still be bad with Tanny. They could pack it in. But in that case, the Burks and Hopkins picks are dead anyways. The Derrick Henry picks are dead anyways. So when you take these guys, you are now playing under the assumption that they're a competent team. Tannehill plays 17 games. And I think just the overall offensive efficiency boost is going to be a boon for Treylon Burks. I guess the one guy I do get spooked by would be Chig, where I would be like, I thought he was a little pricey as is. And now you're going to really need him to sun run touchdowns, I think, to pay off that ADP.
Yeah, I can't get there on Okonkwo. I think he's interesting. Like, I was doing this series I'll do like in season, like the rookie wide receiver report. And he was pacing like with a lot of the top wide, like in terms of like his per route run stuff and like PFF grade and stuff, like he was kind of pacing with like your Burks, Pickens, Dotson area. But still, we're talking about a guy who wasn't playing a full participation of routes. A guy who I really like as like a tight end analyst is at Coupe Fiasco on Twitter. And I think he has a stat where I think it's like I think it's like only 2 of the last top 5 tight ends in fantasy were top 2 targets on their team. Outside of that, I think it's like Martellus Bennett and when Robert Tonyan sun run the touchdowns too. So that's like, you're right. Like it's a really thin outcome for Okonkwo. I like betting long term that he's a talented player, but I think he was like a day 3 pick maybe. It's tough. It's tough to expect him to do much in year 2 as a tight end. I mean, maybe there's spike week upside in terms of just like being that like if he is that like Yak Jonnu Smith type monster, but it's tough.
Will you scroll up real quick on the board? I just want to peep in a couple teams about something we're going to have to decide here. Hang on, scroll up and then just stay. Okay. So we should push Geno Smith through here because the DK Metcalf team already has 2 early quarterbacks. So it might be risky. Someone might take him unstacked, but I think that is something we should try to push through that I normally wouldn't try to push through when I have those 2 guys. So we can pick whoever. I would also say here would be a spot if we do want to grab Freiermuth, unless we want to earmark Jalen Warren. If we are building out this Seattle-Pittsburgh stack, we would probably be done at tight end. I'm also always love James Cook and P. Ryan. So some options.
Is it going to give us Freiermuth? All right, perfect. All right,
Sorry, I know I was kind of running through a few different options.
I saw a dude. I was laughing at this. I think you responded to it, but it was this one comment with what you had Siegel on this week, and somebody was like, Siegel like gives you like riddles before every pick, and you just got to kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there like going against the Mission Impossible there. But yeah, I'm fine with Freiermuth. It was between Freiermuth and James Cook for me, and I was just like, oh my goodness, I don't know.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, if we had maybe a little bit more time, we could have seen if we could have pushed Freiermuth there. I mean, I guess
neither of these guys have tight ends.
Team was not going to take them, but the other 2 didn't. The reason I kind of wanted to push there is because if you don't get Freiermuth, really the only bring back for that game that's viable is Jalen Warren, unless you're like an Allen Robinson guy. And so sometimes depending on where you are on the board, you miss out on that. And then it's like, I'm playing this Seattle game really heavily and I don't have access to a realistic bring back there. So that's what I kind of think about. But yeah, James Cook is one of my highest exposed running backs. I do like him a ton, but I also kind of view some of these players here, these 0 running back targets, as a fairly flat tier. And I have no problem taking Penny and Swift on the same team as I was saying before. P. Ryan, I think, would be a smash. I also like Brian Robinson. And then check the QBs. Daniel Jones is still around too, right?
No, Daniel Jones just went.
So I'm a gambling man.
Okay, we can push him if you'd like to. Let's do it.
So I normally would not do this, Ron, but the only other team who would normally be a candidate for Geno has 2 early quarterbacks. Go check his team. I believe it's Fields and Mahomes, right?
Fields and Mahomes. So you're saying in terms of you're saying he has Metcalf?
He has Metcalf and
I
he has
gotta
Fields
be
and
honest.
Mahomes.
This not being a Piss Boys draft, I'm telling you, there might just be a guy out there who's like, I like Geno, and I'll take him. But I like the game theory of it all.
So the other thing though about it, I guess not having Daniel Jones still on the board, but because we still have access to Love, to Purdy, to now we have set up Pat Freiermuth, so we have Kenny Pickett as a double we can bring back. We can again build out something with Ritter. So one thing that I've been doing, and I'm curious how you've been playing quarterback, is I've been much more willing to push it and basically be like, can I build super teams at discounted prices? Or I have this backstop of late quarterbacks that I like. And the more I do drafts, the more I feel strongly that early QB is not going to be a dominant strategy this year. And everyone keeps hanging their hats on, well, it was last year. It's like, well, yeah, the prices were so different. And I've built some of the teams with the elite quarterbacks, but I'm going to be really underweight that strategy because there's a huge opportunity cost to those picks this year.
Yeah, I'm not exactly completely against it. I think that there's some merit. I mean, like, man, if you go on these boomer sites like NFFC and stuff, like Mahomes, right? And I know we're early right now, but Mahomes has an ADP of like 15. I don't hate when they slip to the 3rd round. Like, you're like, I'll take Allen here, especially if I have Diggs. But even if I don't have Diggs and there's like nothing else I really like, I don't mind it. But that's like at most I'm probably like at market with them. But what I was going to say is when I miss out on them, I'm with you that I'm pushing those 3 quarterback builds, and something that I think burned me last year, and I don't know if I'm overcorrecting, but like last year I would draft say like Dak and Russ, and I would cut it off there. Yep. And I think that that's probably a mistake. Is that you probably want to go 3 quarterbacks. I know you've been talking about it that in like Leone in terms of like you go 3 quarterbacks is the way you get a leg up on the elite quarterbacks is having access to more of the games in a given week. So I've been like. I think in years past, like for me, once if it's not Herbert, and if it is Herbert, I'm probably taking another one in the window here, But like after Herbert, like even Trevor Lawrence, I'll maybe go 3 quarterbacks with. I know some people have talked. I'm actually curious your thoughts. Like when you go Anthony Richardson, because I've heard, I think it was maybe Herzig. I know I keep pulling random references that I don't know if they're even real. But Anthony Richardson, I think he was saying that if he takes Anthony Richardson in like a 2 quarterback build, he just wants to bet on the Richardson that he just like, blows the entire league up and he'll go 2 quarterbacks. Yeah. If I take 2 in the window, I will, right? Like if it's like Richardson and I come back around and maybe it's like, I don't know, like
there you go. You were right. Someone making a donkey.
Yeah, like pick. 3 quarterbacks here. Like this is what it's like to live on the other side of the piss boy rooms.
I'm sorry. I'm so used to like people staying in their lane. And I was like, there's no way someone is going to take Geno unstacked as their 3rd QB this early. But boy, was I wrong, Ron. I'm getting revealed of being very used to one specific type of room where people don't make dumb decisions. Yeah,
it's almost humbling in a way. Where to be honest,
it doesn't bother me though, because again, the whole thing is again, in a perfect world, we've made this bet, but we are now theoretically going to get access to 4 game stacks, right? Because we're probably going to end up with a 3 quarterback build, and we do have this stack of Seattle and Pittsburgh without the quarterback, although we can get to it with Pickett. And so I don't panic about those things. We're already going to get the benefits of that game, and now we're going to also get access to others at better prices.
And we've already missed out on the early quarterback, so I don't really think you're not going to close the gap with a Geno Smith or a Kirk Cousins unless something unforeseen happens. We see a Geno MVP season, but even then we're catching his 2 in theory 2 best pass catchers. Man,
so what are we looking at here? I mean, I love both of these running backs at the top here. I don't really see anything else standing out to me.
And they like technically kind of stack for what we're looking for right now. Yeah, I'm cool. I'm pretty cool with either. I haven't been taking a lot of is this guy Chris is going to time out on every pick here?
That's very frustrating.
I mean, it's a BBM, so I mean, if you would like to.
Oh no. Well, at least he went Gallup. So this is an interesting spot here because there's not. I mean, I think I do prefer A-Chain. He's the better ADP value. Eli Mitchell gives us access to building out like a bigger San Francisco bet. I think I slightly lean A-Chain here, but I think both are really good picks.
Yeah, I want to go A-Chain. I know you've been talking recently about wanting to mix him in more.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in the same boat where I think a lot of us probably just kind of like, completely pumped the brakes with the Dalvin Cook stuff going to Miami. Like all the Miami running backs I've kind of been chilling out on, but I'm kind of, I mean, once we're talking like 11th round Devin A-Chain, like this is going to be almost boomer-esque, but like why draft? And I love Jahmyr Gibbs, but Devin A-Chain's the receiving profile not quite, but we're getting a discount. But in terms of like undersized running back that can play a pass catching role and then also has the juice to have like monster efficiency, like that's A-Chain. He ran like I think low 4.3s at the combine, and I think he ran for like over 1,000 yards in the SEC last year. So he's an interesting one I've been wanting to get more of because I think that he in some ways is also kind of like the rookie wide receivers where he can kind of, tear it up down the stretch. Like we've seen a lot of these rookie running backs do.
Yeah. My only reason I wasn't taking, or let's make this pick here. I also
could go Warren, but I don't mind going wide receiver or something.
Yeah. I kind of, if we end up getting to Pickett, and because there's no other viable Steelers, I kind of like building that out the other way. And so then we play Pickett, Warren, Freiermuth, and then both the Seahawks guys coming back in that game.
Yeah, I absolutely love that too. And
the thing I was going to say about A-Chain is the reason it's been tough for me is how cheap Jeff Wilson is specifically. I've hit the brakes a little bit on Mostert because I do really think if A-Chain's a smash, it's probably at the expense of Mostert. Like their skill sets are a little bit more similar, where I think Jeff Wilson will still kind of have that early down role, probably the goal line role. Like the fact that Jeff Wilson is free, and I get that it's probably fueled a little bit by Dalvin Cook rumors, but you go look at the betting markets, the Dolphins are third in the implied odds to even get them behind the Jets and the Patriots at this point. Like, and those ADPs haven't budged a bit. And I think the Dolphins are too smart to give a ton of money to Cook. So I've been confused by all of these ADPs. I like all of them, but I do rank it cost adjusted, Jeff Wilson, then A-Chain, then Mostert.
Yeah, I'm probably in the same boat. Wilson's the one that I didn't really pump the brakes on just because he's so cheap. It's like taking him in the 16th round. Are you going to wait for him to be an 18th round pick? Like it's not going to be anything super, in terms of value wise.
Yeah.
Now, I did want to. Now, I will say, you've been bringing up some running backs, like, and I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but I will dump some cold water on Kenneth Walker. Like, if I check my exposures right now and pull out my phone, but I think it's like probably sub 3%. The issue I have, so I get the upside case with Walker, and I think in a single week he's probably a pretty nice bet to have. But I think there's something to them drafting Charbonnet in that, like, it seems, and this is kind of a boomer take, but I think Pete Carroll is a guy who wants like a steady Eddie running back, and Kenneth Walker, like I think we've all seen the success rate stuff of being sort of boom bust. Like the thing that scares me with Kenneth Walker is it's going to be a good offense, but I almost feel like Zach Charbonnet was brought in like almost to be a high value touch specialist in a way where he's going to be, in theory, he'd be out there on third downs instead of Kenneth Walker. And then, I mean, they're similar sizes, right? I mean, I think Kenneth Walker's 5'9", 209, Charb's like 6'1", 214. Like, what if Charbonnet's a guy, if he's more steady Eddie, a reliable guy, and you have Kenneth Walker who's more of a boom bust? Like, I feel like that skill set doesn't really work on the goal line, So the thing that spooks me is I feel like Charbonnet could work his way into the high value touches.
Yeah, and I guess that's the part I'm not as convinced by. Like, one really interesting stat about the Seahawks is like over the past 5 years, they've only had a handful of games where more than one running back has had 10 plus touches, which is basically like a long way of saying that Pete Carroll like sneakily prefers a bell cow back. And I do think that Kenneth Walker was a better prospect than Zach Charbonnet. Maybe not as good of a pass catcher, like if he's going to maybe eat into that a bit. But I fully expect Kenneth Walker to have the first crack at this, be able to get those explosive plays. And it's hard for me to argue against Charbonnet because I have more Charbonnet than I do Walker. And I like both just because of the price. It's like so much easier to get Charbonnet. Often I'm having to take wide receivers at the 5-6 turn and avoid getting buried by an avalanche. But my expectation is if Walker stays healthy, I do really think he's going to smash his ADP. And if he falters, if there's an injury, I think Zach Charbonnet can do what Kenneth Walker did last year and step in for, when he stepped in for Rashad Penny and was a league winner. So I think They're going to have a lead back. One of those guys is going to really smash their ADP. And I think the ADPs reflect that Kenneth Walker's the better bet to do so.
Can't say I got anything here.
Really? I mean, so again, like this Kendre Miller fall is like crazy to me. He's another guy that I scoop a ton of. The only other thing to look at here is anyone behind us. Are these guys a 3 quarterback and a 2 quarterback? Because we probably need to take Kenny Pickett coming back.
Yeah.
Will you check the QB?
And we have Jordan Love too.
Because then we should think
about. Oh my goodness. You're kidding.
Did he just take Kenny Pickett?
Yeah, Deontay Johnson.
All right. We're getting sniped right and left.
I think we take Miller and see what comes back or what.
Yeah. At this point, I stare down. I mean, at least that guy had Deontay Johnson. What was his team? Can we roast him too much or no?
Should we go draft board here with Chris? 3 straight running backs: Hopkins, Deontay, Dobbins. Better stop running back there, brother. QJ, Burks. I mean, it's like a fine team. What is Russ doing here? I don't know, man.
Yeah,
man. I don't know what he's like. His timers run out every time too, but it's not been top of the queue. I don't know what this Chris man is doing.
This is what people tell me. Like, I don't draft on DraftKings, but people tell me like you get all these sick ADP values, but then people blow up your stacks. And my rooms are the opposite. It's like I don't get hardly any values. Everyone's scooping shit up, getting the wide receivers, but people don't snipe you. Everyone stays in their lane. You get your stacks. You get out of here.
Yeah, that's not what the common folk experiences.
The nice thing about Jordan Love here is we get a stack, and there's actually some later stacking options and ways to play that game. You know, Jaden Reed could potentially come back. I don't mind Musgrave in the late rounds. I do think, as much as I was pushing it, I do think we bite the bullet and get our first quarterback here.
You want Love or Purdy?
I normally just play ADP in this spot and be like, could we maybe get Purdy coming back?
I like that idea too. We get Love,
I also
got Watson. I like it. And
yeah,
you can play it with like Ty Chandler, and you can get kind of like weird if that's your cup of tea, or if you like Keenan Wangwu, however you want to say that guy's name.
Because go back to our team here to like kind of look at our structure, because this is when I start to think about our in game here, where we got 2 tight ends. If we end up with 2 tight ends, we're good. We're almost for sure going to be a 3 quarterback build.
So this might be a 3-6-7-2.
Yes, although the best pick for us, like if we go the Minnesota bring back like Chandler and McBride, I've gotten better about this. Sean has helped me get better about this, of being more agnostic about late pick construction, where a lot of those guys are very unlikely to hit. In my mind, because I've done so many drafts, I'm like, oh, this is where I'm devoting my capital. Okay, we've already spent our running back capital. Now we need to get to X amount of receivers. And it's like, if Ty Chandler is a significantly better bet than just some random scrub wide receiver we want to take to feel good about our structure, we're probably doing it wrong, is something that I've tried to get better about.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only I think I probably need to get better about that too. Like if you like, honestly, what I like in my slow drafts, what I've been using the names for is like, I'll be in like the 10th round, or if I take like 3 running backs early, then I'll just like write like an ideal structure at the top, just so I kind of just a refresher. I come in and I'm not taking a 5th running back through 5 rounds. But you are right. Like the last couple picks, a running back versus a random wide receiver. I would maybe like it really depends on how many running backs I took early, but I would probably side with the wide receiver if it was like if it was an 18th rounder that stacked to the quarterback that I felt good about. I wish I could Claypool to Fields, or like if I didn't have a single field stack, even though you can play him naked, but just an example.
And I think it's just this is the reason why I really like to start to think through my end game like super early with some of those picks, of just knowing too, like the reason I was comfortable pushing Geno, well, obviously the DK Metcalf draft or double QB was like the huge thing, but it was also knowing like, hey, we have other outs to stacks here. Like if we didn't, say we had Chiefs and Bills and Eagles or whatever, and the quarterbacks were gone, I'd be like, well, unless we want to do a Mac Jones team, late, like let's actually figure this out. Let's reach and lock this up. But I knew we had paths to still building out stacks and scooping up a ton of value, because you look at our running backs. I mean, we have a sick 0 RB kind of modified 0 RB room that I'm pretty stoked about. Anchor, I should say. I keep forgetting about.
Yeah, I love it.
Long ago.
I love it on the back of Bijan. Like that is very nice. I've been taking like we took Pirine here. I've been taking more Pirine as of recently because he's like I don't know, like he's not it's not the sexiest pick, man. Like like you tell somebody it's like a Samaje Pirine and they're like, who even is that guy?
Yeah.
But like he's a capable guy who like when he plays he like scores about 15 points per game, like a replaceable running back you can get late. And I like betting against the Javonte recovery timeline. Like I think I was reading into it, like he had the same injury as Dobbins like 6 weeks later, and Dobbins last year like struggled, didn't even play week 1, and then he came back, then he was done, and
yeah,
I mean he was still efficient, but I don't know if the volume will really be there for Javonte through 10. Like I don't know that he outsnapped. Like I'm not sure the first week that he outsnaps Pirine is like before a bye. You wanted Curtis Samuel there as like a bring back for 49ers?
He gives us a bring back to the 49ers, also gives us an out to another quarterback option with Sam Howell. But I do think Jaden Reed becomes just an obvious smash pick in this build and with our bet on the Packers here. Do you agree?
Yeah, 100%. Starting to think through like where are we going with these last 2 wide receivers here? We might have to sort of bootstrap something late here. All right, so let's go Reed.
Yeah.
All right, so 6'6". All right, so hold on here. What are we thinking through here? I mean, you were saying Ritter. I don't hate that idea.
Yeah, so we have what 3 more? We have 3 more picks, and
2 of them have to be QB.
Two of them are a quarterback, and ideally the other one's a wide receiver, but I think it could be a running back in a pinch. I mean, I was joking about the Mac Jones stuff.
Yeah.
Let me go to the quarterbacks here.
Stroud, Howell, Tannehill.
Yeah, I think Ritter's definitely one of our picks. And now, I mean, I'm
open to Thornton.
I was going to say, I think we probably do. I like Thornton a lot. I think you do the Thornton and we build out the back door here.
Yeah, I think we just sort of have to open ourselves up to another sort of options. We have like Ritter, Mac. I think our emergency safety handle might be Trey Lance. I don't know.
What is Shakir available still? Khalil? Yeah, he's up there. So that would be another way to get a wide receiver and a little bring back and play that New England game through the cheap.
I think the issue is we like these last 2 picks would be QB.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I already forgot. We're done now with that. So I think that was the smart move there. And then
I agree.
The Ritter, and then let's just see the other quarterbacks. Is there any other?
I started Trey Lance, but
it would be Howell too. Would be like if we played that naked, but we're at least in that game there. Howell can rush a bit. It's not as clean as you would like. But I think we recovered at wide receiver pretty nicely after stopping after Lockett.
I love the Lockett JSN just feels so nice.
Yeah.
Debo.
Really, the only thing that stung here, honestly, for me was the Pickett losing out on him, because I think everything really falls into place on this team, because Kendre then kind of took us out of structure. I like Kendre at that price for sure. Don't get me wrong, but structurally it kind of put us in a pinch.
Yeah, we got screwed over a little bit. Like I think this guy went Daniel Jones here. I mean, I guess you can talk yourself into Daniel Jones because of the late stacking options, but he doesn't have a single giant not named Daniel Jones on his team through 16 rounds. So yeah, this is these are where the kids play, I'd say.
Well, if we want a change of pace when we go draft over on mine, although sometimes the After Dark ones aren't as great. It's really the ones it's the ship chasing drafts, and then it's the Wednesday drafts with Pat and Sean specifically are the ones that just seem to just get completely out of control with the wide receiver love. And like when I am in a room like this, it reminds me, Ron, of like in high school, I used to play poker with my buddies, and I knew my high school buddies, and I knew all of their tendencies, all of their tells, and I was really good playing against them. And then I would go to the casino and play against strangers, and I'd get my ass handed to me because I'm like, I wasn't actually super good at poker. I was just super good at reading my idiot friends. And now I'm like, sometimes I get thrown for a loop. I'm like, I'm really good at drafting in this one specific room, but I might have pushed our luck with the Geno thing here.
Dude, I have to say you're like the mans at the poker video that you have where you like went to Vegas and sat in on that table is like hilarious. With like those were like some legit poker players you were with, right?
No. That was at like
No.
the low limit at the Excalibur.
And then what? Like someone brought out like a watermelon or something. Like I can't remember exactly what happened.
Oh yeah, you're talking about. Sorry, I thought you were talking about the old man's one at the Excalibur, the vlog. You're talking about when I did the poker go stream. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So this
Did someone
Chris.
take Ritter?
Yeah,
Are
man.
you kidding me?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Go
He
up
doesn't have a single Atlanta player on his team, man. He doesn't.
Jesus, what do we do? This is out of control.
All right, so this has to be Mac
definitely
Jones.
take Mac. Yeah.
Is it Trey Lance time, or would you rather Howell there? No, Howell's gone, man.
Geez, this is a brutal quarterback room. Honestly, I mean, where are you? Like, I've moved on from Trey Lance. Like, I'd probably take another. Like, I'd probably double stack Mac Jones and even get to like a third tight end, or do Ty Chandler as a bring back is probably like the better pick. Because old me would have done the Trey Lance thing. I would have been like, structurally, we need 3 QBs, but I'm like, I think under most circumstances, we're taking a 0 here.
Man, I think we take Trey Lance. I get the drawbacks on Trey Lance. But I mean, like, what if he's a late season hammer? You also have, I mean, it's a BBM, so maybe early on in the tournament, people were taking Trey Lance early, and we get like up on those teams. Like, can we talk ourselves into Trey Lance here?
It sounds like you are. Yeah, no, I mean, it is funny because I actually found myself in this spot in a room once, and this was before Tannehill, the like Hopkins stuff, and the chat was just like, just take Tannehill. That is not an option. I mean, this is some of the grossest. We don't even have any Indiana. I mean, this is probably one of the grossest QB boards I've ever seen in the 18th round.
Yeah.
Did everyone think this is a super flex league or something?
Yeah, everyone's got 3 quarterbacks. Everyone's got the quarterbacks we want on their teams. My goodness. Like,
yeah.
I see it all right now. I feel like Doctor Strange. Like I think we could, maybe love is sweet and we're just like 2 quarterbacks can get us through. Maybe we just take Jimmy Garoppolo and take easy and unstack Jimmy G. Or we risk
I think
it all
unstack Jimmy G is probably the worst thing. I'd rather even Ty Chandler went. Just take Trey Lance. With this team,
you know what, man?
It.
Yeah.
How many? What's your Trey Lance exposure in BBM? Is this your first share?
Dude, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. It's probably not. Like, it's probably not, man. Like, I'm just gonna be honest.
You're at 8%, Brock.
In BBM we're 11.8% Brock.
Yeah.
I mean, like, so this would be my 3rd Trey Lance in like 35.
I love how embarrassed you are.
Or no. Dude, I've been getting ripped apart all week for my exposures. Look at who my most look.
Oh my God. I mean, honestly, I love all of these except the one at the top.
Yeah. People keep telling me that. But somehow he keeps getting on my team. I don't know. I don't know what I just black out in the 18th round. It's like, oh my goodness, CEH, come on down. Yeah, I've been getting ripped apart, man. I've been getting ripped apart for these exposures.
Do you have a CEH thesis, or is he accidentally ending up on all your teams?
Oh, I have a thesis. I think like you can kind of say like like his upside. I mean, his thesis is like through 5 weeks last year, he wasn't even good, and he was like a top 5 running back. I'm just trying to make sure like this actually, like, where is this? Okay, there's where the team ended up. But it's just a thing where like Pacheco's a 7th round running back who's like not big, and McKinnon's like 34. Like, I like McKinnon, but they're both just guys. Like, the most capital invested in any of them is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It's a great offense. He's almost a dual handcuff in a way where if Pacheco goes down, he'll be between the tackles guy. If McKinnon goes down, he'll be the pass catching guy. Like, he's next man up in both of those scenarios. High scoring offense. They paid a lot for him. You can, like, whether or not you want to read into like whether his like injury stuff or I don't know, like the gallbladder stuff or whatever. But he's just so like he's there every time. And we start getting to this range of like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's like a 1st round pick. They have a lot of capital tied into him. A lot of the time too, I'll have like Mahomes already, or I'll have like, Burrow, like Chase, or even like an unstacked version where it's like just Kelsey or something, or it's just Tyler Boyd or T Higgins, and it's just I end up 18th round. I'm looking through Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then like these guys, it's like is Michael Carter might get cut. Michael Carter might not be on the Jets in week 1, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're talking like Clyde Edwards-Helaire is probably on this team. It's a good offense. Like, it's tough for me to pass up on it. Like, I'm trying to pull back a little bit because he's not the greatest player of all time. I'll be honest. But
it'd be weird if you were out here saying he's the greatest player of all time. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's basically how I feel about Clyde. But it's embarrassing. I show everybody. It's like, dude, look at how sweet all these exposures are, and then you see Clyde at the top, and it's like, god damn.
Do you service the audio listeners? Did you throw these on a podcast feed?
I keep seeing you with the servicing stuff, man, and it's like I should start. For the first time ever, I put a one of these on a podcast feed. I put all my videos on a podcast feed, but never the drafts. But I think I should. Just so I found myself listening to some.
You can't. You only if you service the audio listeners, though. If you're not going to service them, you don't bother.
Is it too late to service? Have I missed my service window?
I mean, I was trying to do a little servicing for you along the way, a little co-pilot servicing.
You were trying to carry some of the rest of the load.
Here's the thing, though. You have to remember, Ron, not everyone has this one on the big screen right now at home watching it. Some people are multitasking. They have this in another tab. They're not looking at the board. They're just hearing our voices. Even the video audio listeners need to be serviced, Ron.
I think you have a point. I think, I'm going to look, that's going to be my, my August, what do you want to call it? My August resolution. My resolution for August is I will be servicing, as many folks in my YouTube and podcast feed as I possibly can. So let me service them real quick.
That's what I like to
hear. Once this saves, so hold on. So we go through this draft 9 spot. We're here. Bijan, Waddle. We go Debo. We go Christian Watson, JSN. We go Lockett, 2 Seattle Seahawks wide receivers. It's a pretty sweet deal. Then we go Swift, Waller, Freiermuth, Pirine, A-Chain, Warren, Kendrick Miller. We get locked out of QB until week 14 or round 14. We take Jordan Love. We take Reed. We take Tyquan Thornton instead of a Mac Jones stack. Desperation here. We go Mac Jones, and then we take Trey Lance. How are we feeling about it? Can't be good at this point. Like, you're not drafting Trey Lance at all, and I'm not really either.
No, I think I definitely underestimated people's willingness to make suboptimal QB picks in this room. I shouldn't have gotten. I think the other thing that was that when I was initially thinking the Geno thing, I kind of assumed that Daniel Jones was also going to be there, and that we could take Daniel Jones and then see if we could push Geno back. And then Daniel Jones went early, right? A little early here.
Yeah, he goes here.
And was he completely? I mean, there was no one to stack
at the time unstacked. At the time unstacked, and at this present moment unstacked. So,
so I can't really like. If people are out here taking Geno Smith unstacked, Daniel Jones unstacked, I think we just have to say GG's there. But yeah, no, I get in hindsight, I think Geno just biting the bullet there and not getting cute. I thought it was a room we could get cute in, and I was very wrong on that.
No, of course, it's all good. But we do have your stream in a little bit here that we're going to be hopping on. So we got to get out of here pretty much. If you have anything to plug, I know you have a billion things going on. Like, I can't even really list everything you have going on. What do people have to look out for?
Yeah, the simplest thing is just over on my YouTube channel. I'm streaming all 150 of my Best Ball Mania drafts. I do. I bang out 6 of them early in the week, 10 a.m. on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I do 2 drafts over on my YouTube channel. So youtube.com/Peter Overzet. And I'm also doing a giveaway. I'm not like Hotshot Ron over here with 25K subs. I'm still working my way to 15K. But when I hit 15K, I'm going to give out $1,500 to anyone who leaves a comment on one of my streamed videos. And every time you leave a comment on one of those, it's an additional entry. So you can actually rack up a bunch of entries. When I hit 15K, give out some cold, hard cash.
All right, sweet. I'm sure we'll have everybody looking out for that. I might even get on some comments myself. I've seen you've been doing that. But I appreciate your time. We're going to be hopping on Pete's here in a second. As always, I appreciate everybody that came out in the live stream. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.